Good morning, folks, and welcome to the soft side of life. Kudos to Benjamin and Sweetie for an excellent hard work done. But we're keeping things exciting here on the E-Corner, where we dive deep into the vibrant intersection of arts, culture, and business. I'm Noella Karaniali, and for the next 15 minutes, we're concluding our exploration of a topic that blends creativity with commerce, theatre arts as a viable business. You're welcome back. It's E-Corner on your favorite AM show. And last week, we journeyed through the rich history and evolution of theatre arts, zooming in on Ghana's unique contributions to this timeless craft. Now, my guest, Chief Moomin, highlighted three key challenges facing the industry. That's content, marketing, and infrastructure, while calling on the private sector to set up, or I should say to step up and invest in building essential facilities like performing arts theatres. Now, today we're picking up from where we left off, digging deeper into these challenges and asking some big questions like, how do the numbers look for theatre in Ghana? And also, are they compelling enough to attract investors? And what strategies can industry players adopt to make theatre a thriving business? And to help me unpack these questions is George Quaye, a communications professional. He's the CEO of Image Bureau. He's a playwright and theatre practitioner with several productions under his belt. Notable amongst them is Run for Your Wife, The Legend of Akusika, and Olarutimi's The Gods Are Not to Blame. But first, let's take a look back at some key insights from Chief Moomin to set the tone for our conversation.
I always see it as three major issues, right, or challenges: infrastructure, content, as well as marketing, which all boils down to, well, I guess, resources, right? The kind of theater we do in our part of the world, you just run a play for like a weekend. The investment that goes into pre-production is so much that the theater business model is that you're able to run it over time. A couple of months, even years. Some productions have been running for 20 years, right? So that's how theater makes money. The more you are in the theater, the more people are paying to come and watch your productions, the more you make money. So.
Okay.
And quickly, the second one is content, right? You need to be able to develop content that is interesting, that is exciting, that can keep bringing people, into the theater, right? And we've had at least proven that we can produce good content. And the last pillar is marketing. Now, no matter how good your content is, if you don't have the resources to market it, most people will not know about it, and most people will not be excited to come into the theater to see it, right? Here's the case: you don't even have enough resources to invest in the content. How much more marketing?
So, two things, actually three things, but for the content and marketing, it is up to you, the creatives, not up to government. I guess the infrastructure is where you probably need the help of government. Is that right?
Even these days, government always has an important role to play, but I actually see it as a role for the private sector, right? Because if you go to the developed, advanced, creative economies, it's not government that owns the theaters; it's private individuals who own the theaters, because it's also a business for them. Because then if they own the theater and they have a production running in that theater, they can make a cut from the ticket sales. So imagine if all of these people investing in so many real estate. Some people have 100 houses. Some of them are even lying there fallow and empty. Imagine if a private developer invests, about even 5 theaters across the country in some of the key markets, even if it's a 500-seater expandable to 1,000-seater plus, right? It means you can make a plan that, okay, I'm going to run a production. I'll take it from Accra to Kumasi, maybe to Takoradi, to Tamale, the economic hotspots, and then you are in business. You are talking about serious business.
So that was Chief Moomin last week. But let's get on Zoom and speak with my guest for today, George Quaye. George, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nola. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I'm awesome. Thanks for asking. So, you had your colleague, theatre practitioner, Chief Moomin. Last week, he cited, content creation, lack of infrastructure and marketing as some of his reasons, or some of his, the things that is affecting theatre in our country today. Do you agree with some of his points, or do you think there are other factors we should consider?
Well, let me start by giving out my condolences to the family of industry practitioner, brother, and friend Albert Jackson Davis. I'm actually speaking from his funeral premises, happening now at the Holy Trinity Cathedral on the John Evans at Mills High Street. And I'm sure when you're done, you'd also make your way here. We're here all day. So deepest condolences to him. Yes,
Right.
Chief Moomin couldn't have said it any better. And he summed it all up by saying it's an issue of resources. I couldn't agree more. Resources has been a major challenge. And when we talk resources, it is not just the infrastructural resources, it is also resources in the areas of talent. When I talk talent, when it comes to theater, it is not just about those that are on the stage acting. We're also looking at those behind the scenes, the script, the writers, the producers, the sound suppliers, the makeup, the costume. It's a whole ecosystem, or
Right.
it's a very, very tall value chain. And there's a bit of a dearth in that arena as well. Because I mean, how many playwrights can you name at the moment? When we take out the Igboites, the few of us who are also trying, there aren't that many. But you'd be amazed to realize that the School of Performing Arts actually churns out a lot of playwrights annually. So the question is, where are all these people? You'd find them working in other spheres, other areas, because a lot of them do not see the theater space as profitable as some of us see it. Um, the question is it profitable? And that's another conversation probably for another day. Because you see, uh, when you have a theater piece, you do not make money from your first run. Sometimes you may not even make money from your second, third, fourth runs. The Gods Are Not to Blame, for instance, had to run 13 times for it to break even.
Yeah.
1-3. And these 13 times, we needed to have full houses at every appearance for it to break even. 13. So imagine if you cannot find the venue to run 13 shows. I mean, the Legend of Akusika, the images you're playing now are from the Legend of Akusika, which ran 8 times before, and even that we still didn't break even because the entire production cost us almost 1 million and we barely made half of that, and so it's very difficult because when you're putting these things together, sometimes you want to do something mind-blowing. It has to be spectacular, it has to be memorable, it has to give people a reason to want to come back. It must be repeatable, and its repeatability shouldn't just be in the aspect of performance. It should also be in the part of patronage. If you're going to do this 100 times, you should have a full house 100 times,
So, John, if I get what you're saying right, the question isn't about content. It's not even about marketing. It's about patronage. Is that what it
You
is?
see, but patronage is driven by content and marketing. If the content is good, for instance, I always use the Gods Are Not to Blame as a reference point. When the Gods Are Not to Blame opened, it opened, I think, on the 1st and 2nd of December. And that was the plan. It was supposed to just run and end there. But those that came to see it became the main advertisers for it. They became the main voices for it. And the marketing professionals will tell you that there is no advertising better than word of mouth. So when they started making noise about it, people started asking questions about it. Is it running again? When is it running again? And we were fortunate enough to get an open date at the National Theatre. It was a weekday, all right. But people did come out to come see it. So we run again after 1st and 2nd of December, those 4 shows. We run again 15th, no, it was 17th, 18th, and 19th of December. Then we run again 27th and 28th of December. Then we run again in March. So it was all due to the, calls for it because people had seen it, they loved it. Imagine if people had seen it and didn't like it that much. So content is key. What you're churning out there must be good. It must be wanted. It must be loved. It must be appreciated. It must be mind-blowing. That is the only way you can get people to want to come see it again and again and again. We had something similar with the Legend of Akusika. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the venue. You understand? So that is another problem. I recall when we first staged Run for Your Wife, it was very well patronized. People loved it. But again, we couldn't find the slot to repeat it. We couldn't find the space because, again, we have only one national theater. And the other places that many may think and hold theater shows are not made for theater. So you may find a few challenges. You'll have a few challenges if you go there. Say
George, can you hear me? Hello, George?
I'm saying,
Okay, you
yes,
went
I
on
can
for
hear
a
you. Can
bit.
you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I'm saying, say you want to stage a play at, let's say, the conference center. The stage itself is not made for theater productions. The only stage in Ghana that has been built for purpose when it comes to theater is the National Theater. So it's unfortunate that that is the only one we have, and that is the only one we've had since God knows when, 1995. To date, it is not good. We need more because now there are so many people. Look, Chief Moment has a show tonight. Mansa Musa, the Prelude, is running tonight at the National Theatre. It's a mind-blowing production. They've put in so much work. Why should it be just tonight?
All right, George, I mean,
Why?
clearly, I think your thought also resonates with that of your colleague, Chief Newman. So, but now let's talk about the numbers, because obviously, for us to solve the problem, you would need investors to step in. And investors, what they care about is numbers. So, per your experience, how is the theater industry performing financially? Are the numbers convincing enough for any investor at all to want to invest in a business like that?
At the moment, the numbers will not be convincing for an investor to step in because we don't have that repeatability. Like I said, theater is not like film. You know, when a film opens, and it has a global opening. So there are theaters running it in China, theaters running it in Japan, theaters running it in the USA, in Europe, in other places, in parts of Africa. That opening night alone can gross a certain amount. So you can actually count your numbers instantly. You can make projections. But theater needs that repeated experience. People need to come see it again. Look, the Mousetrap ran for nearly 21 years in the West End. When you go to South Africa, Umoja is still running. After God knows how many years, it is still running. You understand? When you try to book theaters in the UK now, I mean, we've been trying for a while now to take the Gods Are Not to Blame to the UK. Our biggest challenge right now is securing a theater because the theaters have been booked. They don't book theaters for a weekend as we do here in Ghana. They book theaters. When they book it for months. You know, there are theaters that have been booked. When you go to the Covent Gardens, all the theaters, there are about 9 theaters or so at the Covent Gardens, and these theaters have been booked. Some have been booked from February all the way till September. You understand? And it is not like they are running different plays. It is the same play. Harry Potter has been running for God knows how long. Pinocchio has been running for God knows how long. Cinderella has been running for God knows how long. The Mousetrap, The Witches, you name it. These plays have been running for decades and they are still running because they know that is where you get your revenue from. You cannot just put, because you see, when you're putting a play together, Noella, here are the cost areas. Rehearsals can run for like 3-4 months. And within those 3-4 months, depending on your cast size, let's say you're working with 200 people, you're feeding these 200 people every day. You're refreshing them. You've got to have water. Sometimes you've got to give them transport. And then when you come to performance day, the performance day itself also comes with its own cost. And then you have publicity. You've got your billboards, you've got your radio, you've got your television, you've got your press, you've got your online and all those things. They're very, very, very expensive. If you're thinking, let's assume you've invested $1 million into a production. And what you need to understand is that when somebody says, I've invested $1 million into the production, take out the performance days, because on performance days, your only cost would be probably venue and feeding of your cast and crew. Every other thing has gone into that $1 million. This includes costume, it includes makeup, because you'd have made all these preparations already. So if you've spent $1 million to produce a play like The Legend of Akusika, and you've gone to the National Theatre to stage it, and you have only one weekend, and in that weekend you can do at most 4 shows, doing 2 shows each day, 2 shows, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. Sunday. The National Theatre has a total seating capacity of 1,492 seats. 1,492 seats, maybe you're getting some support from sponsors, so you take out about 200 seats. So give and take, you have 1,200 seats to sell. Nobody has been able to sell a play
But George,
in this country
sorry
for
to
more
catch
than,
you.
yes.
Sorry to catch you here. You spoke at length of some of the problems, but I'm just wondering, if the numbers are not that encouraging, what then is motivating us to keep, doing these plays? And what are we doing in the interim about the infrastructures? Because if obviously investors are not doing anything about it, if government is not doing anything about it, what are you and your colleague, theater practitioners also doing to probably also invest in infrastructure? Because if nobody is coming to help you and you're also passionate about your craft, Why don't you also invest in that in that as well?
Yeah, building a theater infrastructure is not a walk in the park. We're doing our bit. We're speaking to many people locally and internationally. We've been talking, and some of them have committed to help. As you can see, we've been trying. I'm sure some time ago you heard that I had won a $2 million contract from a businessman in Ghana. That $2 million contract is actually supposed to go into a theater infrastructure. The biggest challenge we've had is the space to put that infrastructure, that facility.
Okay.
You understand? So we've been speaking to people, we've been knocking on doors. But what is key, what is important is that we do not give up, we do not stop despite the challenges. And we've been fortunate to have some organizations in corporate Ghana support us. Kudos to organizations like Stanbic Bank, Mr. Malko Afajino, who has always believed in the arts. They've supported us. We know what the people, Mr. Joseph Adoyebo and his team at Total Family Health Organization, Ebony Condoms, have done for the space. We know what other organizations do, companies like Telecel, like MTN, and all the others that support us in diverse ways. Gino Tomato Mix and all those that support Uncle White, GCB Bank. We can only hope and pray for more, because at this rate, if they don't continue to support us the way they do, and let me not forget organizations like the Multimedia Group as well.
Right.
I mean, the partnerships that some of us have with the Multimedia Group, Joy FM, Hits FM, Joy News TV, Joy Prime, and all the help that you give us. If you stop giving us this kind of support, theater in Ghana will collapse, because without you, we cannot do it. Because if we say we are going to do it based on our resources alone, it will collapse. So it is all we can do now. Continue, and pray that eventually we have a government that actually appreciates and understands the art enough to be able to expand the infrastructure. The Akufo-Addo government started with some amphitheaters. They couldn't finish them. We pray that this administration is able to complete them and actually put up a bit more. I hear President John Dramani Mahama promised a theater auditorium in the Ashanti region. We pray that it happens so that we can have more, so that we can do more.
George, my final question.
Really, Noella, we cannot stop.
Right. My final question to you, in your capacity as a communications professional, I want us to explore the role of communication in marketing theater. What do you think of that? I mean, how can we really use communication to and public relations, obviously, to also market theater?
Well, we take it from the story point of view. It is important to choose stories that are relevant, that speak to the times. That way, when you're dialing up your communication strategy, you're connecting to something that is relevant. That doesn't mean that we should neglect those legendary plays that have been scripted, like The Gods Are Not to Blame, The Legend of Akuska, the plays by Willie Soyinka, like Death and the Ken Salzman, which may not have a direct correlation to matters that are happening today, but it doesn't mean we should stop. We can only connect with media organizations and be more vocal in our advocacy for theater and its appreciation. And then we also need to change our communications and PR strategies. We need to go beyond radio and television to probably go knock on doors, go into organizations, sell bulk tickets to companies, and pray that they patronize. And when they come, we need to treat them special and have follow-up strategies to continue engaging them. Like I said, Noella, we're here to stay. We cannot stop, so we need to do all we can to ensure that it grows. And part of the communications is exactly what we are doing this morning. I've got 3 funerals on my hands today, but of course, I know the importance of this conversation, so I needed to make time. So I pray we are all able to make time to continue the talk, and I want to thank you for this initiative. I pray other people in the media and creative space, in the art space, stop focusing on useless issues like my girlfriend has left me and this one has gone to take this one's wife and whatever, and we focus on relevant matters like this one, because it is the only way we can change and grow the industry.
George, thank you so much. You've been yourself absolutely this morning. Is there anything Image Bureau is doing this weekend we should be looking out for?
You recall last December we didn't stage any commercial play. We did something with the prison, the Nsawam Female Correctional Facility. Well, we are bringing that play to the National Theatre in March this year. So patrons should look out for the 29th and 30th of March, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. each day at the National Theatre. Home Beyond the Walls goes live, and we have expanded it, we have changed it. And I have told Nashoko that by the time we finish this play, we may be summoned to Parliament to answer a few questions, because what we have done with the play will raise eyebrows and we'll ask questions. Noella, have you ever wondered why is it that when a president is leaving office, that is when they release a few prisoners? Is it because they want to release some of their politically connected friends who supported them? Or they want to just release some criminals for the next government to deal with? Have you ever thought about it?
I guess it's
Why
about
that time? Why is it that when a president is inaugurated on 7th of January, your first act of showing love to your people on 8th of January, why don't you release prisoners? So you deal with them.
I guess that's
Let's
something to
give it a
think
thought and see.
about. Definitely, I will
When
give
you
it a
come to
thought.
the National Theatre, A Home Beyond the Walls answers these and a lot more. And we've got some
Right.
strong themes on this LGBT issue in there,
Ooh.
to sign or not to sign. A Home Beyond the Walls is going to shake tables. It's going to cause a lot of trouble in Ghana, and everybody should see it. We'll give the ticket information soon, so you can grab your tickets and come join us. And the good part is that part of the revenue is going to establish some accounts for some of the prison inmates, and also to help build a rehabilitation center at the Nsawam female prison. So it's still in the line of corporate social responsibility.
Well, kudos
And
to you, George,
we believe patrons are gonna love it.
kudos to you, George, and of course the team. I'm very much used to trouble when it comes to you, so I'm looking forward to the trouble you start again this time around. But thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
It's been phenomenal as per usual. And that's it. That's how we draw the curtains on E-Corner right here on your favorite AM show. Of course, the show isn't done. We've got Sweetie and Benjamin coming up with some amazing interviews as well. Until then, I'm Noella Karinyali, and next week Friday, I'll see you with some more exciting content. Take care.